Hello, Cardinals. Welcome to our next installment of Margaret Atwood's Oryx and Crake. 11. Pigoons. Jimmy's in the kitchen of the house they lived in when he was 5, sitting at the table. It's lunchtime. In front of him on a plate is a round of bread, a flat peanut butter head with a gleaming jelly smile, raisins for teeth. This thing fills him with dread. Any minute now, his mother will come into the room, but no, she won't. Her chair's empty. She must have made his lunch and left it for him. But where is she gone? Where is she? There's a scraping sound. It's coming from the wall. There's someone on the other side, digging a hole through, breaking in. He looks at that part of the wall below the clock with different birds marking the hours. Hoot, 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 says the robin. He'd done that. He'd altered the clock. The owl says caw, caw, and the crow says chirrup, chirrup. But the clock wasn't there when he was 5. They'd gotten it later. Something's wrong. The time's wrong. He can't tell what it is. He's paralyzed with fright. The plaster begins to crumble, and he wakes up. He hates these dreams. The present's bad enough without the past getting mixed into it. Live in the moment. He'd put that on a giveaway calendar once, some fraudulent sex enhancement product for women. Why chain your body to the clock? You can break the shackles of time, and so on and so forth. The picture was of a woman with wings taking flight from a pile of dirty old wrinkled cloth or possibly skin. So here it is then, the moment, this one, the one he's supposed to be living in. His head's on a hard surface, his body's crammed into a chair, he's one big spasm. He stretches and yelps with pain. It takes a minute to place himself. Oh yes, the tornado, the gatehouse. All is quiet, no puffs of wind, no howling. Is it the same afternoon or the night or the next morning? There's light in the room, daylight. It's coming in through the window over the counter, the bulletproof window with the intercom, where once upon a time, long, long ago, you had to state your business. The slot for your micro-coded documents, the 24-hour video cam, the talking smiley face box that would put you through the Q&A. The whole mechanism is literally shot to hell. Grenades, possibly. There's a lot of fallen rubble. The scraping continues. There's something in the corner of the room. He can't make it out at first. It looks like a skull. And then he sees it's a land crab. A rounded, white-yellow shell as big as a shrunken head with one giant pincher. It's enlarging a hole in the rubble. What the shit are you doing in here? He asks it. You're supposed to be outside, running the gardens. He throws the empty bourbon bottle at it, misses, and the bottle shatters. That was a stupid thing to do. Now there's broken glass. The land crab whips around to face him, big pincher up, and then backs into its half-dug hole where it sits watching him. It must have come in here to escape the twister just as he did, and now it can't find its way out. He unwinds himself from the chair, looking first for snakes and rats and any other thing he might not wish to step on. Then he drops the candle end and the matches into his plastic bag and walks carefully over to the doorway leading into the front reception area. He pulls the door shut behind him. He doesn't want any crab attacks from the back. At the outer doorway, he pauses to reconnoiter. No animals about, apart from the trio of crows perched on the rampart. They exchange a few caws, of which he is probably the subject. The sky is the pearly gray pink of early morning, hardly a cloud in it. The landscape has been rearranged since yesterday, more pieces of detached metal sheeting than before, more uprooted trees, leaves and torn fronds litter the muddy ground. If he sets out now, he'll have a good chance of making it to the Central Mall before mid-morning. Although his stomach is growling, he'll have to wait until he gets there to have breakfast. He wishes he had some cashews left, but there's only the Soy Boy sardines, which he's saving as a last resort. The air is cool and fresh, the scent of crushed leaves luxurious after the dank, decaying smell of the gatehouse. He inhales with pleasure and then sets off in the direction of the mall. 3 blocks along he stops. 7 Pigoons have materialized from nowhere. They're staring at him, ears forward. Are they the same as yesterday? As he watches, they begin to amble in his direction. They have something in mind, all right. He turns, heads back towards the gatehouse, and quickens his pace. They're far enough away so that he can run if he has to. He looks over his shoulder. They're trotting now. He speeds up, breaks into a jog, and then he spots another group through the gateway up ahead. 8 or 9 of them coming across towards him across no man's land. They're almost at the main gate, cutting him off in that direction. It's as if they've had it planned between the two groups, as if they've known for some time that he was in the gatehouse and have been waiting for him to come out, far enough out so that they can surround him. He reaches the gatehouse, goes through the doorway, pulls the door shut. It doesn't latch. The electronic lock is non-functional, of course. Of course, he shouts. They'll be able to lever it open, pry with their trotters or snouts. They were always escape artists, the Pigoons. If they had had fingers, they would have ruled the world. He runs through the next doorway into the reception area and slams the door behind him. That lock's kaput as well. Oh, naturally. He shoves the desk he's just slept on up against the door and looks out through the bulletproof window. Here they come. They've nosed the door open, and they're in the first room now. 20 or 30 of them, boars and sows, but the boars foremost, crowding in, grunting eagerly, snuffling at his footprints. Now one of them spots him through the window, more grunting, and now they're all looking up at him. What they see is his head, attached to what they know is a delicious meat pie just waiting to be opened up. The two biggest ones, 2 boars with, yes, sharp tusks, move side by side to the door, bumping it with their shoulders. Team players, the Pigoons. There's a lot of muscle out there. If they can't push through the door, they'll wait him out. They'll take it in relays, some grazing outside, others watching. They can keep it up forever. They'll starve him out. They can smell him in there, smell his flesh. Now, he remembers to check for the land crab, but it's gone. It must have backed all the way into its burrow. That's what he needs, a burrow of his own, a burrow, a shell, some pinchers. So, he says out loud, what's next? Honey, you're fucked. Radio. After an interval of blankness during which nothing at all occurs to him, Snowman gets up out of the chair. He can't remember having sat down in it, but he must have done. His guts are cramping. He must be really scared, though he doesn't feel it. He's quite calm. The door is moving in time to the pushing and thumping from the other side. It won't be long before the Pigoons break through. He takes the flashlight out of his plastic bag and turns it on, goes back to the inner room where the 2 guys in the biosuits are laying on the floor. He shines all around. There are 3 closed doors. He must have seen them last night, but last night he wasn't trying to get out. 2 of the doors don't move when he tries them. They must be locked somehow or blocked on the other side. The 3rd one opens easily. And there, like sudden hope, is a flight of stairs. Steep stairs. Pigoons, it occurs to him, have short legs and fat stomachs, the opposite of himself. He scrambles up the stairs so fast he trips on his flowered sheet. From behind him comes an excited grunting and squealing, and then a crash as the desk topples over. He emerges into a bright oblong space. What is it? The watchtower, of course. He ought to have known that. There's a watchtower on either side of the main gate and other towers all the way around the rampart wall. Inside the towers are the searchlights, the monitor video cams, the loudspeakers, the controls for locking the gates, the tear gas nozzles, the long-range spray guns. Yes, here are the screens, here are the controls. Find the target, zero in on it, push the button. You never needed to see the actual results, the splatter and fizzle, not in the flesh. During the period of chaos, the guards probably fired on the crowd from up here while they still could and while there still was a crowd. None of this high-tech stuff is working now, of course. He looks for manually operated backups. It'd be fine to be able to mow down the Pigoons from above, but no, there's nothing. Beside the wall of dead screens, there's a little window. From it, he has a bird's eye view of the Pigoons, the group of them that's posted outside the checkpoint cubicle door. They look at ease. If they were guys, they'd be having a smoke and shooting the shit. Alert, though, on the lookout. He pulls back. He doesn't want them to see him, see that he's up here. Not that they don't know already. They must have figured out by now that he went up the stairs. But do they also know they've got him trapped? Because there's no way out of here that he can see. He's in no immediate danger. They can't climb the stairs, or they'd have done it by now. There's time to explore and regroup. Regroup? What an idea. There's only one of him. The guards must have taken cat naps up here, turn and turn about. There's a couple of standard-issue cots in a side room. Nobody in them, no bodies. Maybe the guards tried to get out of rejuvenescence like everyone else did. Maybe they, too, had hoped that they could outrun contagion. One of the beds is made, the other not. A digital voice-operated alarm clock is still flashing beside the unmade bed. What's the time? He asks it, but gets no answer. He'll have to reprogram the thing, set it to its own voice. The guys were well equipped, twin entertainment centers with the screens, the players, the headphones attached, clothes hanging on hooks, the standard off-duty tropicals, a used towel on the floor, ditto a sock. A dozen downloaded printouts on one of the night tables, a skinny girl wearing nothing but high-heeled sandals and standing on her head, a blonde dangling from the hook in the ceiling, some kind of black leather multiple fracture trust, blindfolded but with her mouth sagging open in a hit-me-again drool. A big woman with huge breast implants and wet red lipstick bending over and sticking out her pierced tongue. Same old stuff. The guys must have left in a hurry. Maybe it's them downstairs, the one in the biosuits. That would make sense. Nobody seems to have come up here, though, after the two of them left, or if they did, there'd be nothing they'd wanted to take. In one of the night table drawers, there's a pack of cigarettes, only a couple gone. Snowman taps one out, damp, but right now he'd smoke pocket fluff, and looks around for a way to light it. He has matches in his garbage bag, but where is it? He must have dropped it on his stairs in his rush to get up here. He goes back to the stairwell and looks down. There's the bag all right, 4 stairs from the bottom. He starts cautiously downward. As he's stretching out his hand, something lunges. He jumps up out of reach, watches while the Pigoon slithers back down and then launches itself again. Its eyes gleam in the half-light. He has the impression it's grinning. They were waiting for him, using the garbage bag as bait. They must have been able to tell there was something in it he'd want, that he'd come down to get. Cunning, so cunning. His legs are shaking by the time he reaches the top level again. Off the nap room is a small bathroom with a real toilet in it, just in time. Fear has homogenized his bowels. He takes a dump. There's paper, a small mercy, no need for leaves, and is about to flush when he realizes that the tank at the back must be full of water, and it's water he may need. He lifts the tank top, and sure enough, it's full, a mini oasis. The water is a reddish color, but it smells okay, so he sticks his head down and drinks like a dog. After all that adrenaline, he's parched. Now he feels better. No need to panic. No need to panic yet. In the kitchenette, he finds matches and lights the cigarette. After a couple of drags, he feels dizzy, but still it's wonderful. If you were 90 and you had the chance for one last fuck, but you knew it would kill you, would you still do it? Crake asked him once. You bet, said Jimmy. Addict, said Crake. Snowman finds himself humming as he goes through the kitchen cupboards. Chocolate in squares, real chocolate. A jar of instant coffee, ditto coffee whitener, ditto sugar. Shrimp paste for spreading on crackers, ersatz but edible. Cheese food in a tube, ditto mayo. Noodle soup with vegetables, chicken flavor, crackers in a plastic snap top, a stash of Jolt bars. What a bonanza. He braces himself and then opens the refrigerator, betting on the fact that these guys wouldn't have kept too much real food in there, so the stench wouldn't be too repulsive. Frozen meat gone bad and a melted freezer unit is the worst. He came across quite a lot of that in the early days of rummaging through the plebe lands. There's nothing too smelly, just a shriveled apple and orange covered with gray fur. 2 bottles of beer, unopened, real beer. The bottles are brown with thin retro necks. He opens a beer, downs half of it, warm, but who cares? And then he sits down at the table and eats the shrimp paste, the crackers, the cheese food, and the mayo, finishing off with a spoonful of coffee powder mixed with whitener and sugar. He saves the noodle soup and the chocolate and the Jolt bars for later. In one of the cupboards, there's a wind-up radio. He can remember when those things started being doled out in case of tornadoes or floods or anything else that might disrupt the electronics. His parents had one when they were still his parents, and he used to play with it on the sly. It had a handle that turned to recharge batteries. It would run for half an hour. This one looks undamaged, so he cranks the thing up. He doesn't expect to hear anything, but expectation isn't the same as desire. White noise, more white noise, more white noise. He tries the AM bands, then the FM. Nothing. Just that sound, like the sound of starlight scratching its way through outer space. And then he tries the shortwave. He moves the dial slowly and carefully, Maybe there are other countries, distant countries, where the people may have escaped. New Zealand, Madagascar, Patagonia, places like that. They wouldn't have escaped, though. Or most of them wouldn't. Once it got started, the thing was airborne. Desire and fear were universal. Between them, they'd been the grave diggers. Oh, talk to me, he prays. Say something. Say anything. And suddenly there's an answer. It's a voice, a human voice. Unfortunately, it's speaking some language that sounds like Russian. Snowman can't believe his ears. He's not the only one then. Someone else must have made it through, someone of his own species, someone who knows how to work a shortwave transmitter. And if one, then there are likely others, but this one isn't much use to Snowman. He's too far away. Dickhead. He's forgotten about the CB function. That was what they'd been told to use in emergencies. If there's anyone close by, the CB is what they'd be doing. He turns the dial. Receive is what he'll try. And then a man's voice. Is anyone reading me? Anyone out there? Do you read me? Over? Snowman fumbles with the buttons. How to send? He's forgotten. Where is the fucker? I'm here, he shouts. Back to receive. Nothing. Already he's having second thoughts. Was that too hasty of him? How does he know who's at the other end? Quite possibly no one he'd care to have lunch with. Still, he feels buoyant, elated almost. There are more possibilities now. Rampart. Snowman's been so entranced by the excitement, the food, the voices on the radio that he's forgotten about the cut on his foot. Now it's reminding him. There's a jabbing sensation like a thorn. He sits down at the kitchen table, pulls the foot up as high as he can to examine it. Looks like there's a sliver of bourbon bottle glass still in there. He picks and squeezes and wishes he had some tweezers or longer fingernails, and finally he gets a grip on the tiny shard and then pulls. There's pain, but not much blood. Once he's got the glass piece out, he washes the cut with a little bit of the beer and then hobbles into the bathroom and rummages in the medicine cabinet. Nothing of use, apart from a tube of sunblock, no good for cuts, some out-of-date antibiotic ointment, which he smears on the wound, and the dregs of a bottle of shaving lotion that smells like fake lemons. He pours that on there, too, because there must be alcohol in it. Maybe he should hunt for some drain cleaner or something, but he doesn't want to go too far, fry the entire foot sole. He'll just have to cross his fingers, wish for luck. An infected foot would slow him right down. He shouldn't have neglected the cut for so long. The floor downstairs must be percolating with germs. In the evening, he watches the sunset through the narrow slit of the tower window. How glorious it must have been when all 10 of the video cam screens were on and you could get the full panoramic view, turn up the color brightness, enhance the red tones, toke up, sit back, drift on cloud 9. As it is, the screens turn their blind eyes toward him so that he has to make do with the real thing. Just a slice of it, tangerine, and then flamingo, and then watered down blood, and then strawberry ice cream off to the side of where the sun must be. In the fading pink light, the Pigoons waiting for him down below look like miniature plastic figurines, bucolic replicas from a child's playbox. They have the rosy tint of innocence, as many things do at a distance. It's hard to imagine that they wish him ill. Night falls. He lies down on one of the cots in the bedroom, the bed that's made. Where I'm lying now, a dead man used to sleep, he thinks. He never saw it coming. He had no clue. Unlike Jimmy, who'd had clues, who ought to have seen it but didn't. If I'd killed Crake earlier, thinks Snowman, would it have made any difference? The place is too hot and stuffy, though he's managed to pry the emergency air vents open. He can't get to sleep right away, so he lights one of the candles. It's in a tin container with a lid. Survival supplies. You're supposed to be able to boil soup on those things, and smokes another cigarette. This time it doesn't make him so dizzy. Every habit he's ever had is still there in his body, lying dormant like flowers in the desert. Given the right conditions, all his old addictions would burst into full and luxuriant bloom. He thumbs through the sex site printouts. The women aren't his type, too bulgy, too altered, too obvious. Too much leer and mascara, too much cow-like tongue. Dismay is what he feels, not lust. Revision, dismayed lust. How could you, he murmurs to himself. Not for the first time, as he couples in his head with a rent-a-slut decked out in red Chinese silk halter and 6-inch heels, a dragon tattooed on her bum. Oh, sweetie. In the small hot room, he dreams again. It's his mother. No, he never dreams about his mother, only about her absence. He's in the kitchen. Woof goes the wind in his ear, a door closing. On a hook, her dressing gown is hanging, magenta, empty, frightening. He wakes with his heart pounding. He remembers now that after she'd left, he'd put it on, that dressing gown. It still smelled of her, of the jasmine paste perfume that she used to wear. He'd looked at himself in the mirror, his body, his boy's head with its cool, practiced, fish-eyed stare, topping a neck that led down to the swaddling of female-colored fabric. How much he'd hated her at that moment. He could hardly breathe. He'd been suffocating with hatred. Tears of hatred had been rolling down his cheeks. But he'd hug his arms around himself all the same. Her arms. He set the alarm of the voice-operated digital clock for an hour before dawn, guessing when that must be. Rise and shine, the clock says in a seductive female voice. Rise and shine, rise and shine. Stop, he says, and it stops. Do you want music? No, he says, because although he's tempted to lie in bed and interact with the woman in the clock, it would be almost like a conversation. He has to get a move on today. How long has he been away from the shore, from the Crakers? He counts on his fingers. Day 1, the hike to rejuvenescence, the twister. Day 2, trapped by the Pigoons. This must be the 3rd day, then. Outside the window, there's a mouse gray light. He pisses into the kitchen sink, splashes water onto his face from the toilet tank. He shouldn't have drunk that stuff yesterday without boiling it. He boils up a potful now. There's still gas for the propane burner, and washes his foot. A little red around the cut, but nothing to freak out about. And makes himself a cup of instant coffee with lots of sugar and whitener. He chews up a 3-fruit Jolt bar, savoring the familiar taste of banana oil and sweetened varnish, and feels the energy surge. Somewhere in all the running around yesterday, he lost his water bottle, just as well considering what was in it, bird dung, mosquito wrigglers, and nematodes. He fills up an empty beer bottle with boiled water and then snaffles a standard-issue microfiber laundry bag from the bedroom, into which he packs the water, all the sugar he can find, and the half-dozen Jolt bars. He rubs on sunblock and bags the rest of the tube and puts on a lightweight khaki shirt. There's a pair of sunglasses, too, so he discards his old single-eyed ones. He deliberates over a pair of shorts, but they're too big around the waist and wouldn't protect the backs of his legs, so he hangs on to his flowered sheet, doubling it over, knotting it like a sarong. On second thought, he takes it off and packs it into the laundry bag. It might snag on something while he's in transit. He can put it back on later. He replaces his lost aspirin and candles and throws in a small box of matches and a paring knife and his Authentica replica Red Sox baseball cap. He didn't want to have that fall off during the Great Escape. There, not too heavy, now to break out. He tries smashing the kitchen window. He could lower himself down onto the compound rampart with the bedsheet he's torn into strips and twisted, but no luck. The glass is attack-proof. The narrow window overlooking the gateway is out of question, as even if he could get through it, it would be a sheer drop into a herd of slavering Pigoons. There's a small window in the bathroom high up, but it too is on the Pigoon side. After 3 hours of painstaking labor, and with the aid of, initially, a kitchen step stool, a corkscrew, and a table knife, and ultimately a hammer and a battery-operated screwdriver he found at the back of the utility closet, he manages to disassemble the emergency air vent and dislodge the mechanism inside it. The vent leads up like a chimney, and then there's a bend to the side. He thinks he's skinny enough to fit through. Semi-starvation has its advantages, though if he gets stuck, he'll die an agonizing and also ludicrous death. Cooked in an air vent, very funny. He ties one end of his improvised rope to a leg of a kitchen table. Happily, it's bolted to the floor, and winds the rest around his waist. He attaches his bag of supplies to the end of a second rope, and holding his breath, he squeezes in, torques his body, wriggles. Luckily, he's not a woman. The wide butt would foil him. No room to spare, but now his head's in the outside air, then, with a twist, his shoulders. It's an 8-foot drop to the rampart. He'll have to go head first. Hope the improvised rope will hold. A last push, a wrench as he pulled up short, and he's dangling askew. He grabs the rope, rights himself, unties the end around his waist, and lowers himself hand over hand. And then he pulls the supply bag through, nothing to it. Damn shit. He's forgotten to bring the wind-up radio. Well, no going back. The rampart is 6 feet wide with a wall on either side. Every 10 feet, there's a pair of slits, not opposite each other, but staggered, meant for observation, but useful too for the emplacement of last-ditch weaponry. The rampart is 20 feet high, 27 counting the walls. It runs all the way around the compound, punctuated at intervals by a watchtower like the one he's just left. The compound is shaped like an oblong, and there are 5 other gates. He knows the plan, having studied it thoroughly during his days at Paradise, which is where he's going now. He can see the dome rising up through the trees, shining like a half moon. His plan is to get what he needs out of there and then circle around via the rampart. Or if conditions are right, he can cut across the compound space on level ground and make his way out by a side gate. The sun is well up. He'd better hurry or he'll fry. He'd like to show himself to the Pigoons, jeer at him, but he resists this impulse. They'd follow along beside the rampart, keep him from descending. So every time he reaches an observation slit, he crouches, holding himself below the sight line. At the 3rd watchtower along, he pauses. Over the top of the rampart wall, he can see something white, grayish-white and cloud-like, but it's too low down to be a cloud, and it's also the wrong shape. It's thin, like a wavering pillar. It must be near the seashore, a few miles north of the Craker encampment. At first he thinks it's mist, but mist doesn't rise in an isolated stem like that. It doesn't puff. No question now, it's smoke. The Crakers often have a fire going, but it's never a large one, and it wouldn't make smoke like this. It could be a result of yesterday's storm. A lightning strike fire that was dampened by the rain has begun smoldering again. Or it might be that the Crakers have disobeyed orders and have come looking for him and have built a signal fire to guide him home. That's unlikely. It isn't how they think, but if so, they're way off course. He eats half a Jolt bar, downs some water, continues along the rampart. He's limping a little now, conscious of his foot, but he can't stop and tend to it. He has to go as fast as he can. He needs that spray gun, and not just because of the woolvogs and the Pigoons. From time to time, he looks over his shoulder, and the smoke is still there, just the one column of it. It hasn't spread and keeps on rising.